How come you got to like clear your throat more when you get older? Like you got to do more of that.
More phlegm.
And then how come more noises do you make a lot of noises getting up? Like off the couch?
Oh, my grandson imitates me now when he sits down.
He sounds like a bear, right?
Yeah, he goes, ugh, like Grandpa. I didn't do that. And then I sit down beside him, ugh.
That's even better. You're just totally unaware of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are we rolling over there, Andrew?
Yeah, we're rolling.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh, my God. Everybody heard everything then.
Everything.
Holy
All the
shit.
secrets.
All right. We're here today with Big J, and I think that we owe it to our audience to switch gears here for a little bit and talk about getting big.
Oh.
Oh, my
Since you got big in your name, you know,
Yep.
that's pretty smart of your parents to give you that name.
Yeah, it's just Big J.
We got your we got a lot of your story last time you were on, and there's so much more to get to.
Last time, too, 2016. I can't believe it's been that long.
Yeah.
Everyone kept saying 17, but that was the second time I was here. We didn't podcast in, but we podcasted in 16. Wow. Some of the best poop stories I've ever told, actually.
I know, and I'm sure you're loaded up with a lot more.
Yeah, full of it.
Loaded up with all kinds of poop.
So you got strict orders from the boss right now, and you're weighing 290 pounds, and you're no stranger to bodybuilding, and no stranger to powerlifting, and you've been lifting for a long ass time. How do some of our listeners that are listening, how do they get big?
So it kind of goes against everything you've been talking about for the last, I don't know how long, when you started getting ready for your show. And I want to talk about your show after I say what I'm going to say. A lot of the, I don't know, I guess it's not just social media, but it's the world. They have to have a certain standard of look, and, you know, they want validation and they want recognition. So everyone is scared to have a little fluff. I'm obviously not lean by any means at 292 pounds, but I know the end game, you know, the end result and the schematics and the scope of what I'm trying to do. So, you know, Ronnie said this a billion times. You want to get big, you got to eat big. I mean, you got to go into a surplus, whether it's fats, carbohydrates, sugars, you know, proteins, everything, vegetables. You eat a calorie. I don't want to get into the calorie is a calorie is a calorie, because we all know that there's a lot of different empirical evidence that will support both sides. But as far as getting big, you got to put the calories in, you know, got to overfill the tank so you can have a surplus. And yeah, you are kind of stronger when you're fatter too.
What you throwing down? What are you eating?
Oh man, on a caloric number, at least 5,000 a day.
Ooh.
Yeah, pretty easily.
Yeah, that's a good amount, right?
Because I'm always hungry. I've always been hungry.
And then you have to be a little careful with your selection. I mean, your selection's much broader than when you're on a cut, but you have to be a little bit careful, because if you eat, you know, a bunch of pancakes in the morning, which taste terrific, it might fill you up for too long, and then you might not be able to get it might be hard to get meal 2 in for some people, right?
For some people.
Not for Big J.
Not for me.
You got a pretty good appetite?
And you're right. Here's the thing. When people say, oh my gosh, you must be eating a bunch of crap. I've eat the same single every meal every day for years, with just a little adding into it. Because I'll have my egg whites and oatmeal in the morning, but then I'll add some more peanut butter for calories, you know, maybe a banana and a blueberry muffin. And then I'll have turkey and rice for mid-morning, you know, ground turkey. But instead of half a pound, I'll have a full pound, or maybe 2 cups of rice. So instead of going out and saying, I'm just going to have all these calories and eat M&Ms and pizza and hot dogs and ice cream, which I do once a week or so, I'm just adding more of the good foods, more calories, more weight.
So a little birdie told me to ask you a certain question in regards to your thoughts on Waffle House.
Oh, God, who asked you that? It's not Josh, is it?
No.
I got to say, man, to be as clean as possible, it's horrible, in my opinion. I love the guys at Waffle House. My dad loves Waffle House, and he drags me there every time I go to his house, but I prefer a different restaurant than Waffle House. Those are my thoughts. As nice as I can
Okay, we'll
be.
keep it clean then.
Keep it clean.
All right.
Wait, why don't you like Waffle House, though?
Well, they ask you how many eggs you want with your grease. They ask you how much grease you want with your food.
Yeah, too much.
Yeah, man, you can just turn your plate sideways, and God bless the people that like Waffle House. I'm, you know, a couple of good friends that love it, but I have a no-fly zone at Waffle House.
Sometimes, you know, I think you've traveled quite a bit, and you travel across the country, and that's all you got.
Yeah.
You travel across the United States, and all you have every once in a while is Waffle House.
Well, sometimes you got to make do. I mean, I understand that.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do. And I'm not that meal prep guy either. I don't like cook all my food and put it in storage and bags and label it. And that's just, That's beyond my desire.
Even
stop
when you're
eating.
getting in shape,
Different story. When I'm getting in shape, and this is
kind of
back.
have to do certain things.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. This is before all these meal prep companies came out, and they are amazing. They really are. They
Are you
going
to claim on our show that you invented meal prep?
No.
I think you did.
Been around long enough.
I've been around longer than they have, though. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, he invented meal prep. All right, carry on.
You know what we used to do? Branch and Ronnie and Mark and all the guys that we used to go over to pose at our posing place, and even at the gym, we'd make these big giant Tupperware bowls. You know, your mom had them, the big giant plastic lid, and so you just boil 6 or 8 cups of rice, and cook up 6 or 8 chicken breasts, and I don't know, a couple pounds of turkey, just kind of like a monster mash, like what Stan does,
Yep.
yeah. And we just have a bowl, and you figured out, okay, this is a quarter of that, so I'll just eat out of this corner for this meal, and then it would be hot and moldy and nasty. We didn't have these refrigerators to carry around with us like these kids do, but yeah, it worked right then. So yeah, I would do some meal prep.
It's got a little twang to it.
It does. Who needs barbecue sauce when you have mold?
You're like, oh, that has a maybe
God.
that might have like another 5 hours left before it goes completely rotten. Yeah,
My
that's
grandma
rough.
always used to say, just scrape it off. It's fine.
Yeah, help the gut bacteria, right?
Exactly.
So the foods are kind of similar though, like when you're cutting and when you're bulking, except for when you're bulking, you have more freedom. If you want to go to the movies and enjoy a candy bar and some popcorn, it's no big thing. But when you're cutting, you got to start to tighten things up quite a bit,
Yeah,
right?
go into a deficit. I mean, that's common knowledge. Everybody knows you can't stay or you can't get lean if you keep putting more in there. So obviously you start cutting back 50 calories a day or a week, or depending on how long your prep is. Like my best prep would be to figure out where my body fat was. If it was 12 or 14 or 15% or whatever, that's how many weeks I would at least allow myself to get ready for that show, because you're not going to get to 0%.
Right.
But you get down to 3, 4, or 5%, depending on what your body type is and what you look like and what shows you're competing at, et cetera. And so that gives you that tolerance of a week or 2 or 3 to gain or lose back and forth, and not be in such a bind. Because there's a lot of people that, I've got a quick metabolism, whatever, or I get lean quick, whatever. Just give yourself time so you don't burn so much muscle to get down to that body weight. So at 290, I would love to get back on stage at 240, 245, 238, something around there. And that's 60 pounds, which is a big drop.
Yeah.
And the body fat percentage may only need to drop 10%, but I'm going to give myself double that time because I haven't been on stage in 20 years.
Yeah.
Last time I was on stage, I was guest posing. And so I want to make sure, God, did I just say I'm going to compete again?
Yeah,
I think
you
so.
did.
Jeez.
I love it.
Okay.
That's
Wait,
great.
did you just realize that now?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, snap.
I forgot we were live. Well, so the secret is just to give yourself plenty of time. These people that go on these 6, 8, 10-week diets and they say they're lean, they're not. They don't have that outside eye. You had honey.
Yeah, you gotta get like dried out. You gotta get all the way down.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think people that want to get big, do you think they should cut? And do you think that people that want to be lean, do you think they should bulk?
In my opinion,
Yeah. What's your opinion on that? I mean, it's
I
kind of
think it's easier to talk about if you've actually experienced it,
okay. Yeah,
per se.
because there's a lot of people just maybe they're always trying to lose weight, and let's just say they're into lifting, right? And they don't ever give themselves an opportunity to like expand a little bit, and you're just trying to cut and trying to cut and trying to cut and trying to cut, and it's like you don't have anything to like slice up anymore
Sure.
because you don't have the muscle mass.
So you're saying, and you're asking if I think that people that are always lean and can't get any leaner should mass up a bit. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Try it.
switch things up.
Yeah,
a
if you
little
don't like a Ford, heck, drive one time. You might love it. Vice
Right.
versa.
bit. Look at those hammies.
Hey, who's that guy?
Hey, Jay, I want to know about this because, like, I think we talked about this a little bit, but when guys are trying to bulk, what do you feel is the upper limit of it? Because you even mentioned, like, you kind of alluded to it. You said if I'm starting a prep and I'm like maybe 12, 15%. But most guys, when they bulk, they don't only chill at 15%. They go up to 20, 25, etc.
Yeah.
So
It's unhealthy. I mean, anything over 12 is really getting unhealthy. You would agree. I mean, I think you both agree. What are you, 5% now? 7%?
no, I'm like probably 9
What?
or 10.
I must be 90 then.
No, I'm definitely not.
We
at
talked
10.
about that.
Let's
I
say
told
that
you I
yours
was.
is lower, so everybody else can feel good.
No, but seriously. So, like, in that sense, if a guy right now, he's bulking and he's around 14% body fat.
He shouldn't be bulking.
he shouldn't be bulking.
No
You
way.
think he should just chill there and try to get stronger there, or
Well, it
should
depends
he?
on if he's a powerlifter or bodybuilder, stronger or more shape. Because if he wants to get on stage, he needs
Yeah.
to have a shapely body.
Mhm.
And you both agree. We talked about this earlier. Bodybuilders and powerlifters have like major differences in their structure.
Yeah.
You train for strength, so you're going to have those longer, stronger, sinewy type muscles versus bodybuilders trying to get the pump all the time. So they have a fuller looking effect, and they're a lot of bodybuilders are not as strong as powerlifters, and a lot of powerlifters don't have that. And we proved that yesterday. That endurance training, you're a lot leaner than I am, and you're probably a lot stronger than I am. But we were doing 20 reps with all the weight, and it was gassing you. It's just like a guy saying, "Yeah, I could take you out to the ditches, and you're a big powerlifting bodybuilder guy, and I could bury you in 5 minutes." Absolutely. I've never done ditches before. You know what I mean? And then you take the guy that digs ditches all day long, take him to the gym 5 minutes, he's gassed. So I really loved taking you through that workout that Ronnie and I, it's one of our workouts that we do, and letting you experience the flow. And you had a lot of haters on your post too, remember? Which was
Yep.
great. It's
Yeah.
good. I love it when people come on to be so objective, or what is that word? They don't like what you're saying, and they're so closed-minded, and they want to force their opinion on it. Hey, give me your opinion. I love opinions, and that's all they are. I mean, there is empirical evidence out there, but I want to know what you're thinking and why you're saying that. At first, I want to tell them to go take a flying leap because it hurts my feelings because I'm trying hard. But my feelings only go that deep, and then I get into the smarts of, hey, look, this is why I'm doing it, and I'm sorry you feel that way if you're so angry, but let's look at it this way. And it helps. A lot of times, 9 times out of 10, people turn, "Oh man, I was kind of trolling, BJ.
I think what really kind of like triggers people is if you don't normally talk about something and then you do something kind of different. So Nsima preaches form and technique very often. That's
The first comment was, "Why you swinging?"
Yep.
so
And
he-
you weren't really. You
yeah,
weren't.
He teaches a lot of control, even like self control. Even like when he's training, when he was powerlifting. Instead of rocking out in the corner and getting himself all crazy and fired up, he would close
I
his
don't know who
eyes.
does that.
He'd be a lot more like cerebral. And so I
Sure.
think it's going against the grain of some of what your fans are used to seeing.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, what's this bullshit? You told us not to swing. Why are you swinging?
I think it's a great idea.
And but there are different ways to train, right? I mean,
Oh,
you got to be able
absolutely.
to get after it every once in a while.
Yeah, after 38 years of being in the iron game, and I'm only 35, by the way, 38 years, I've done probably every single workout that you could ever think of. I've tried it. And if it didn't appeal to what I wanted, I'd change it because I'm in charge of my own body, and I want it to adjust to a certain way and feel and look and grow. So if you don't try something, you may not know that will or will not help you. Arnold taught about the cheetah principle. I mean, he'd get 5, 6, 8 reps, and then he'd, sling the last few. I mean, that's the way Ronnie and I train. We do 20 reps on everything, 4 sets with all the weight.
I kind of think some of that is missing. You
Big time.
You don't see it as much anymore.
No.
People really letting loose.
I mean, you look
really
like you're
getting after
watching,
it.
you know what forms are. You're a martial artist, right? You look like you're watching people lift weight in form.
Right.
Wax on, wax off. Dude, put some butt into it. Let's go. Swing that weight if you need to.
Yeah.
Move it again.
Yeah.
Because you're not reaching failure if you're not. They say they're reaching failure by pulling this slow on the 5th rep, and then they're squeezing and getting rid of it. I can get 20 more reps.
That's
out
not
of that
failure.
guy. That's not failure. Failure is what you hit yesterday.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Now there are different ways of doing it, and because of that, I would imagine that sometimes you pull back and you start to isolate too. Like so, you might
Have to.
in a workout, you might start out with something crazy that you're swinging around on. Once you're warmed up, of course, and then you're probably going to move into doing sets with more precision, right?
Absolutely. And, the kids nowadays have to have a name for everything. What do they call that? A deload week or whatever?
Right.
We just call it a rest week or not train so heavy week or
Heavy and light.
take a break.
Yeah.
I
a
will.
pussy.
And I don't post those.
That's what we call it.
Yeah. You just pulled 600 pounds for 10 reps on your video, and then tomorrow you're going to put 135 on there and do 5 slow reps. You know what's going to happen. Everybody's going to go, bye. Never watching your crap again. Right. And I'm here, at my age, and my daughters got me into this, the social media, and there's a lot of people in the fitness industry that are half my age that have pulled me into it, and I was sucked into it pretty quickly because of businesses that I, operate with in the fitness industry. But now I love it so much. I don't, I make sure that my screen time is down, but I am here to help. I'm here to help anybody and everybody that's interested in help, and I want to hear their opinions too.
you know, I want to mention this on the podcast because I mentioned it on the video that we did together many times, and I sound like a broken record right now. But when you were
you and I did together?
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Let's
What was your name again?
Oh, Michael.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
He said he's getting old.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's Big Daddy.
No, Michael. Michael's my name.
No, he said Big Daddy.
No, don't.
I know. It came up on my phone one time. I was like trying to airdrop something to somebody.
It said Big
and
Daddy.
It said like Big Daddy Panther or something or some shit like that. And I look up and there's not one other black person in the entire gym besides him. So I look up and he's standing right in front of me.
Smiling at you.
I'm like, Black Panther, Big Daddy Black Panther, or whatever the hell it
Is
said.
that his
I was
name?
like, what in the hell is this?
Is that what Boo calls you, dude?
No. I'm not even going to talk about that. There's a deeper joke that goes in here.
Oh, my
Which
God.
is
That
not
was
Smokey.
deep enough for me.
How
Smokey's
deep
over
does it
there.
go? How deep are we talking?
Oh, it's hilarious.
Oh my God.
Okay.
The thing that we're talking about, I won't go into it, but it does have to do with a little bit of drinking at the Arnold and Smokey and Nsima being in the same bed.
Oh wow. Hey now.
I just lost my breakfast.
Okay. Back to the subject.
Look at Smokey. I'm not going to deny it.
It's okay. There was a lot of dudes in the room, so it was fine.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
Good times. Go ahead.
Okay. Here we go.
See if he can recover.
Yeah. So, the really impressive thing that I want people to like understand here is that even though like when I was working with like the stack and these loads, right? I wasn't used to lifting that way. So my form was breaking down, and it was apparent. I was doing my best to make sure I was staying safe as I was doing it.
Sure.
But despite if you were doing like on the cable row, despite if you're doing the 180 versus 250, you looked the same even if you were swinging a little bit. Like
Ugly both times, right?
It wasn't ugly both times though. It wasn't ugly both times. There was control to it. Even though there was a little bit of swing, there was control. And 250 looked just as good as 180.
Oh,
and that was every single movement that we did, even with the heaviest load. So people don't realize there is a very big level of technique and strength there that goes into that, because if you were just swinging right around, it would look extremely ugly when you got heavy, but it didn't. It just shows how strong you are.
Thank you,
You know
sir.
what I mean?
Appreciate
There's still
that.
so much control there, and people need to be able to learn from that rather than looking at the swinging and being like, oh, he doesn't know how to lift. Well, he's bigger than you and he's stronger than you, so maybe you should just fucking listen.
Well, and it does. There's a lot of validation in that, because if you get someone that's 180 pounds or 200 pounds or even 220 pounds, and they can't lift that much, and they kind of swing again the Arnold Cheetah principles, and they start to put on weight. I mean, it does work. It works, man. I'm telling you, it always works. Because when I first started training here in Texas, because I started training, first workout was like 1982, somewhere along those lines. But I didn't know what I was doing. Seriously. I mean, I played football, and we had coaches and taught us what to do. Joined the military, worked out with a bunch of guys. Actually joined up with George Orris, Mr. Germany, John Baker, Mr. Arizona. These are names you guys probably don't know, but these were validated guys. I worked out with Vince Taylor in Germany and Berlin several times. We're good friends. And, back then, of course, he's 235, 240. This is like 1987, 88. And I'm, 190 soaking wet because I was running miles every day in the Army. I kept thinking, I want to be like these guys. What do I got to do this? And you watch them, and they're so much bigger, and they're, doing different types of training techniques, and oh no, that doesn't look right. Well, who am I to say Mr. Masters Olympia, multi titles under his belt is doing it wrong? So when these guys come on and they start looking at some of the bigger guys, oh, that's incorrect. Well, it's different. It's like driving a Honda to work versus a big giant dually to work. One uses more gas and smokes more and takes up more room and not as proficient, but it still does the same job. Gets you from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Different techniques, different strokes for different folks.
I think a big thing there is like what you just said. Instead of interjecting and saying, hey, you should just do it this way or that's wrong, just ask why. I think you were just mentioning that, right? Just ask, why are you doing that? Why are you doing it that way? Just ask. And maybe there is a legitimately good reason why. And you could learn something from that rather than just being like, that just looks totally bad. My ex-phys textbook told me that you can't be doing it that way. Just ask.
No, for sure.
Yeah, ask good questions and you're going to learn a lot.
And you'll get good answers too, 9 times out of 10.
Right. A lot of times, when you're doing something like, let's say, I notice this with back work in particular, but it could be different for other people, I guess. But like with back work, sometimes it's hard to get your elbows to really travel past, past your body.
The fat gut in the front.
Well, there's that too, right? Those are the old powerlifting days. They
Yeah.
get that shorter stroke going.
Exactly.
But sometimes you do need a little swing, or you need a little leverage, because really, in my opinion, training your back is really all about trying to move those elbows, and you're trying to get the elbows to come
Elbows
back.
to the walls. Yep.
Yeah, you're trying to get the elbows to come back the best that you can.
Well, you know
And
why?
Sometimes you got to get a little swing.
And I talked to you about this yesterday when he was doing the behind the neck pull down, which everybody says, "Oh no, that's bad. Don't do that for you. It's going to hurt yourself." You don't use a lot of weight when you do those exercises, and you're focusing on the movement that you're going to be replicating on stage. Rear double bicep, lat spread. When you get back there and you can start seeing those Christmas trees and those fins in your lats, I mean, that's when you really start to build the muscle. I told you, a lot of people know this. The stage is won, or the shows are won from the back.
Yep.
People, I told you this yesterday as well. It's just like bodybuilders, the newer beginners look like 6-year-old girls, because a 6-year-old girl will go and fix her hair and do her face and, get her clothes all neat and tidy, but she can't see the back of her hair. So she just runs a comb through it a little bit and runs out the door. I remember my girls, "Wait, come here, let me comb the rest of your hair." So these bodybuilders, same thing. Like, everybody looks good from the front, but then when you turn around and the judges go, "He didn't do his homework. He didn't do his homework.
Yeah.
She didn't do their homework. They didn't do their cardio.
No
they didn't eat
calves,
right."
no hamstrings, no
Yeah,
lats.
no definition, flat
traps.
Yeah, nothing. And so you got to focus on those movements. And that's when I get closer to a show, I do a whole lot more of the squeezing and the better techniques and, the movements. They have to be done properly, or you're going to have sloppy muscles.
So it's your belief, and with all the people that you've trained with over the years, some top level bodybuilders, maybe probably the greatest bodybuilder of all time. We'll never see another freak like Ronnie Coleman, I don't believe. You trained with some of the best in the world, and it's your belief that you need to have a little bit of both. You need to sometimes get in there and have the heavier weight and swing them around, and then you also need some of the kind of like touch up, polish up work.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. Speaking of bodybuilding, man, I haven't talked to you since you got on stage. Powerlifted for years, did some nasty numbers in your day. What made you want to do a bodybuilding show? Let's talk about Mark for a minute. Why in the world did you do that?
I got put on the spot. I had Hani Rambod on the podcast, and he's like, you're in good shape. He's like, you're pretty lean. He's like, I think you owe it to your fans is to take it the rest of the way. Just go all the way with it.
That dude.
And I've never, I don't have any experience with bodybuilding. I've never even been to a bodybuilding show.
But you know a lot about it.
I do. I like bodybuilding. But I've only accidentally seen some bodybuilding from going to see some of the strongman stuff at the Arnold. So I don't have any other knowledge of it beyond, reading some of the magazines and then, talking to Jay Cutler and people like that. But yeah, when Hani put me on the spot, I was like, if you're going to help me, then I'm in.
So you kind of put him on the spot
Yeah,
too.
yeah, because I was like,
Tit for tat, huh?
I don't really know what I'm doing, and I probably won't do great if I'm going to try to put, I don't know, to paint myself into a corner and put that much pressure on myself and follow my own guidelines when I don't know what I'm doing. It would be really, really hard. So with his guidance, it ended up working out great. It was fun. And then the other thing,
Well, wait a minute. It was fun?
well,
You didn't really do a show then, did you?
what was fun about it is that I ended up in better shape forever from it.
Right.
And that's Tom Thile, who trains here. He used to work the front desk at Gold's Gym for many, many years. I've known him for a long time. He kept telling me, "You got to do a bodybuilding show. You got." And I was like, I don't know, and I mainly just because I didn't think I'd have the proper guidance. I was like, well, maybe opportunity comes along, and Hani kind of threw that out there. But Tom was the one who told me. He goes, "You do one bodybuilding show, and it changed everything for you forever, because you're gonna realize the mindset that it takes."
Right.
He's like, you're going to realize
way different
you
than
have
powerlifting.
You have to be all in. And it's not to say that powerlifters aren't all in. There's different objectives and there's different things. But what it showed me and the way it worked out for me, even when I look back at my powerlifting career, I'm like, I worked really hard at powerlifting, but I was about 60% in, if I'm being totally honest, in comparison to how I trained for the bodybuilding show.
Wow. Well, there's so much more that goes into it, right? The posing and the tanning.
24/7.
Yeah. I mean, the sleep and the food and everything. I mean, your job, you suffer, mentally. There's so much more that goes into it.
It impacts your family,
It
everything.
does, big time. I mean, you run your best friends away if you're not careful. You can get on these sticks of, a lot of people do the low-carb diets, what you're doing now.
Yep.
How are you feeling about that now? I mean,
I
people
love it.
know me.
Mhm.
I love carbs, and
Yeah.
I'm going to eat them until they kill me, I guess. And I can get lean on carbs, but and I do agree with cutting your carbs on so many other levels, health reasons for
Right,
sure.
right.
Some people just they can't have them because their body reacts differently,
Right.
pancreas, insulin sensitivity, etc. And all these other crazy diets. I say I will not do that, but I do agree that there is a place, just like in training, for it all. You're still on the no carb diet.
Yeah, I've been feeling really good doing that. I've been doing it for many, many years. I started like in the mid '90s, kind of messing around with Body Opus from Dan Duchesne.
Oh wow,
And,
Dan! I hadn't heard his name in years.
Yeah, I messed around with some of that, and then years later did some Amaro Di Pasquale stuff. He had the anabolic diet.
Dropping names.
Yeah,
Right on.
he had the anabolic diet, and yeah, I've always liked it. I like the things that are on like a keto style diet, so it's
Sure.
not hard for me to do.
So that means it's good for your body. If you feel good while you're doing it, then it works for your body.
And I have a hard time with control. So like for me to try to
What?
control the amount of carbs gets to be difficult, and it triggers things. Because as a kid, I grew up eating a lot of I didn't eat junk food nonstop, but I did eat a lot of junk food, and so like Oreos, and
I love junk food.
that's what happened. That's what happens to me. Like the second I allow myself a little bit of carbs, it somehow turns into like dialogue in my head that it's okay to like eat everything.
Goes from 1 donut to 2 dozen. I feel you.
You're right, and that's what I like so much about.
And
the
that's what we did
carnivore
last
diet.
time I was here.
Yeah, we
Donut
did.
eat. Yeah,
We did.
I ate a lot of
Lots of
donuts.
But with the carnivore diet, eliminating everything else and saying no, it's just super black and white. This is what you're doing. I kind of like that discipline of it.
And you're getting blood work regularly, and you're taking all
Yeah,
the.
you're
doing I saw you doing a prick on your.
Yeah, I
pinpoint.
messed with the blood glucose to kind of check some of that.
Yeah, and you're
Um,
healthy.
Yeah, everything's checking out really good.
Nice.
I mean, way healthier than I used to be. That's for sure.
Yeah,
If you get your blood work done routinely, and anybody
I
that
do.
gets theirs
Mhm.
done
You have to.
routinely, you're going to see stuff on there every once in a while. It's going to be in the red zone. And you
Wow.
go, hey, what's happening with
Yeah,
this?
exactly.
But it's something you start to try to figure out, and you try to correct. And so my blood work's not perfect, but it continues to get better. And
Sure.
there'll be something will be low, something will be high, and I just keep working towards making it better.
So talk to me real quick about your war on carbs. Are you trying to change the world by getting everybody off carbs? Or
I'm trying. Yeah, I'm trying to get everybody to ditch
So
them.
are you really wanting me to get rid
Take-
of carbs too? Please
Yeah,
don't say yes.
take all those carbs, and we'll send them to a country that's less fortunate, that doesn't have enough food, and we'll spread it over there.
I gotta love Mark for saying that. That's big of you to say that too.
I just
We're all about helping people and educating and just taking care of as many people as we can.
I would just say the
love
main thing that I'm trying to communicate, and sometimes maybe I don't do a good job of it because I do harp on the carbohydrates. It's just my personal belief that every single person can benefit from cutting them out from
You
a
can.
health perspective.
You can.
And it doesn't have to be zero carb, but cutting back on them. And then it's kind of been our discovery as well here on the show, and many other people have come to the same conclusions that you probably don't need nearly as many as you may have thought.
Oh, absolutely. No, I would agree with that too.
With the exception of like bulking, maybe maybe to get like, I don't know much about that in terms of like bodybuilding, but I did it for powerlifting and it worked.
Sure.
Just to stack on as much weight as I could and to squat 1,000 pounds, it worked.
Yeah.
But for the goals that I have now, and most of the people I communicate with, they usually are trying to lose weight. And I think a great way to control the amount of energy that you're consuming is not only to not eat carbs, but to eat meat, because having high amounts of protein is very satiating, fills you up for a long time, leaves you satisfied, and then it leaves less room for other stuff. So if I could even just give people one note, because the general population sometimes are pretty far behind on what they should do from a nutritional standpoint, is just double up your protein that you're eating.
Yeah.
And then
Get those calories in somehow, some way.
yeah, other things will, because it's just an important nutrient that you need.
And you
really
gotta
need it.
eat the vegetables. I hate vegetables with a passion. But every time I go to IHOP, I get
So-
spinach.
Even when you're bulking, are you still eating vegetables, and are you still like doing cardio and stuff like that?
Yes. Yeah. And that's a good point to come across or to talk about, is I make sure, because of my age now, especially, that my joints.
How old are you, Jay?
35.
35.
Nice.
Looking great, bro.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.
So when you get into getting older and bigger and still pounding the weight like I'm trying to, I know there's billions of people out there stronger than I am, but I know that for where I'm at, I'm doing pretty good, and I'm doing it smartly with cardio, 20 minutes cardio, probably 4 or 5 days a week, cryotherapy, foam rolling, the proper stretching techniques. I mean, I don't just go in there and throw the weight on there and start training as hard as I can. I do everything that I felt like I should have been doing in the past that I am doing now that's keeping me healthy. I mean, there's a lot of people at my age now that can't even get up off the couch, period. You know, and look at, well, I don't want to say any names, but there's a lot of people that we are associated with that are done. I feel like I'm just hitting my stride. And that's why I'm going to do a whole lot more this year with what I've been trying to work towards for the last 3 years with Big Ron.
Wait, so what? Let me ask this then. What have you been trying to work towards? Because I guess I'm out of the loop.
So I competed back in the late 80s through the 90s, early 2000s, and had a lot of fun. Lie. It was, you know, it was good. It was an experience. And, you know, there was some times to where I worked with contracting companies that would send me off to different parts of the city, state, or country, or the other countries. And it was, bodybuilding was put on a back burner for so many times, and for the right reasons. You know, I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, you can't find a gym out in the middle of a field or a different country that you're, you know, working with. So I feel like that I cut myself short in the bodybuilding spectrum and powerlifting as well, because I plan on doing a powerlifting event this year too. Just because it wasn't the drive that I lost, because I've had the drive and the dedication for years. It was just the time management. Now I'm retired. Now I can do what I want to do. I mean, I'm working harder now on different projects and helping in different areas, but I think that, or I know for a fact that I can dedicate myself to these next couple of events coming up. And so the last 3 years, Big Ron and I have been talking about where I need to be, what I need to be doing. And my goal was, you saw the pictures on the video there of my abs. I was 265 there. And I cut down for a photo shoot a year and a half ago. And I was 290 before that. And now I'm back up to the 290s, and I'm supposed to be up here for another month or so. And then we start walking down that staircase and see what happens.
What's it like training with Ronnie Coleman?
Probably the greatest experience I've ever had in my life, because, you know, you train for so long and you feel like you know everything. I was just telling your brother yesterday, I've only used the trap bar like 5 times in my life, and I loved it. You know, I've never box squatted until I was, you know, Ronnie and I train real close to the time that Branch Warren and Johnny Jackson trains. I've not ever trained with Johnny, but Branch and I were training partners for 5 years back in the 90s. And he is a dinosaur monster. I mean, it's just strong and very hostile in the gym. And that's a training that I like. That's what matches my mindset. What, you know, Ronnie does too, monsters. And so I saw them box squatting, and I looked and I cringed. I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? It's going to kill your spine. And Johnny came over and talked to me for a few minutes. Like, hey, Big J, man, this is really good stuff. It transfers over into some of your deadlifting, and it really helps take care of your spine. I'm like, whatever, dude. You sit down and wait on your back. You're going to die. Have fun, Bubba. And so when nobody was in the gym the next week, I was like, where's that box at? Nobody here, right? So I put a 135 on my back, sat down. Now, you see, I do touch and goes a lot, and that's safe to do because that box is only like 18 inches of my hip, and my knees are 21 inches. So I do get the proper depth. But I did proper seated, took all the resistance off, of course, keeping the back and everything tight, and it felt all right. Well, I'll go up to 2 wheels. I struggle with 3 wheels. It's a different squat because there's no momentum. None. You don't get that spring out of the hole. Well, now I'm squatting 5 wheels for 20 reps from a year ago.
Yeah.
I just went from 1 year on box squats.
And it feels fairly safe, and it feels like you recover from it a little faster, right?
I'm pretty sure. Yes. Much more.
That's what I feel
recovery.
from it. I feel like a regular squat, and I think you need to do both if you're trying to be a good squatter, obviously.
Yeah, and I do.
Yeah.
I squat with a hard bar as well.
But sometimes it just, I don't know, regular squat is just, it's tough. It's tough. You got to handle the eccentric and the stopping and reversing yourself. So it might just have a little bit greater cost.
Yeah. I like it though. And I don't know why I got off on the box squats and the trap bar squats, but because of keeping my mind open to, when Ronnie says, hey, do it this way, I just say, yes, sir. I'm not going to question the greatest bodybuilder of all time. And there's a couple of times that I've said, nah, I don't want to. And he goes, well, that's dumb. Why don't you want to try that? It's going to be good for you. And he always gets to me. I'm doing the 160s for 25 reps and I drop it. Oh, that was too easy. You should have done 5 more. dude, I've never done the 160s before, and I just did 25 reps. Oh, that's okay. Do some more.
Does he really encourage you, or is it just his actions? You know, is he
Both.
there?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if you ever see our videos, you'll never see him stand up and spot me. If I'm gonna die, it's gonna be with Ronnie spotting me, because he won't stand up and help anybody, because he doesn't want anybody to touch his bar either. I mean, yeah, he'll hand the bar off to me on bench
Right,
press.
so you don't hurt your shoulder.
Yeah, but that's about it. You know,
Mhm.
it's all about doing the stuff yourself. Nobody's gonna lift those weights for you. You know, you've been knowing that for years.
Yeah.
And the things that he says, and you know, the encouragement that he gives me while I'm training, it's just amazing. I mean, I've learned so much, not necessarily new exercises or new training programs, but humility and intensity. You know, I train with a lot of intensity when I train with Branch, but I think right now, I'm stronger in my heavy weight and high rep range than I've ever been in my life.
How do you get to a point of being able to handle that type of volume all the time? Because like yesterday when we were doing all those 20 rep sets, I'm just like, do you do that often? Is that like
Every workout.
every workout? It's
Every
like
workout.
20 rep sets?
How? Every workout. I don't know, man. I'm sort of a caffeine junkie, but I've pulled back from my pre-workouts and coffee and everything. I mean, I drink a glass of tea, a hot, warm tea in the morning at 4 or 5 when I wake up, and then I'll have coffee with my second breakfast about 9 o'clock, and then I might take a scoop of pre-workout that recommends like 10 scoops. You know, I mean, a very low minimum dosage, and then I'll have another cup of coffee. I used to drink a pot of coffee before breakfast and a pot of coffee before my workout and 3 or 4 scoops of pre-workout. But I think that as long as I'm keeping my caffeine intake to a minimum and not destroying my central nervous system with a caffeine kick, I think I can still handle it. I mean, I've been doing this for years.
Yeah, and another thing, actually, I want to know about this. When you were doing those 20 rep sets, like, is the build up like the typical way you were doing it yesterday? Like, you start with a really light set, then you increase it a little bit, then you have a third set that's kind of intense,
Kind of a working
then you
set,
have the last set that's the most intense 20 rep set, and then you move to the next movement.
Absolutely.
I think that kind of explains how it's possible, though, because like not every single set of 20 is balls to the wall. It's literally the last set of 20. Is that
The last
kind
two.
of how it's last two?
Yeah. So it was your first workout, so I didn't want to, you know, I'm not here to destroy anybody. I want to help as much as I can.
Yeah.
So all I did was quarter, half, 3/4, and full for you on everything. Usually when we're training, we might do 5 or 6 sets just to get those first 3 of the dynamic stretching and warming up properly, and get 2 to 3 hardcore working sets.
Yeah.
And then once we get to, and like I said, you know, you go to a different exercise to stay on the same body part, but you have to warm up properly with some light weight. Get into that mobility of that exercise versus, you know, when people go in there and throw 2 or 3 plates on and then start pressing. I mean, you're just setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
Sometimes you folks from the South, you sometimes say something so simple, but it's actually really brilliant. You just said you go quarter, half, 3/4, and then full.
Yeah.
So you go 25%, then you go about 50%,
Yes, sir.
75%, then you go all out.
All out. And that 75% is
great.
a
That's
good
simple.
working set. It is
Yeah,
a
yeah,
good working
absolutely.
set. Because I told you, on your third set, you should be straining hard after your 15th rep and struggling with the last 5. Oh, no, I said the last 3. And then on your fourth set, you'll be dying at 12, 13, 14.
Yep, that's exactly
But
what
you'll
happened.
give everything that you've got to stretch that fascia and tear those muscles down in order for them to rebuild stronger. Those last 5 reps, those count. Those are the building blocks.
Are you paying attention to amount of exercises, or is it more like you're going like by how you feel and stuff like that?
When I train with Brian, which is the owner of Metroflex Gym, one of the greatest men I've ever met in my life, he has a passion for helping people. When I train with him, we do instinctive training because he's got so many injuries. He's 63 years old and still killing it. He just had a total knee replacement and was squatting a week later. He's a dinosaur too. He's a dedicated monster. But we do more instinctive training with him because there's so many things that he cannot do. When I train with Ronnie, we do the same exact workout. We've got 3 or 4 back workouts we do, 3 or 4 chest workouts we do, 3 or 4 of each body part, and we'll switch it up. So it'll be chest 1 on this day. When we get back to chest, it'll be chest 2, you know, and then we get back to chest, chest 3. And so it is the same exact series, but we mix it up every other workout. Does that make sense?
I remember Ronnie Coleman, who, you know, has probably the best back in the history of bodybuilding. You know, and people are always talking about like muscle confusion and you got to mix things up. He's like, I don't know if that's true. He's like, I've done the same back workout for the last 20 years.
Absolutely. It is. I'm telling you, it's the the pull downs, the rows, the behind the necks. I mean, what we did was what we've done.
I guess one aspect that might change a tiny bit is just like the amount of weight, or you get better at it, right?
We'll go to machine.
Mhm.
We'll do cables and then we'll do machines, or we'll go dumbbells and we'll do barbells. We'll go back and forth with that. Those same exercises.
Oh, so sometimes maybe an entire workout is all machines.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that Ronnie Coleman said that I thought was really brilliant, and let me know, if you guys implemented this as well in your training, which I think I've seen it in your training, actually, now that I think about it. They asked him, like, why he doesn't, like, lock out his weights all the way, so he's, like, using dumbbells, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when he's warming up, he's got full range of motion. But as soon as he goes heavier, he wasn't doing a full range. Those old videos of him doing 200. He's still smoking it. And obviously, he could do full range.
Sure.
But he's got a little bit of a bend in the elbow. And then somebody asked him, and he's just, I don't know, he's so in tune with how he feels that he's brilliant. And he just said, I don't do that because it hurts.
Yeah.
If I lock my elbows out all the time on every rep, on everything, I go heavy very often. And it's like, it's going to tear shit up. I just thought that was so smart. I'm like, man, people, they're not sometimes smart enough to just, rather than listening to like science and all this other crap that's out there, they're not in tune with like how their body feels. Like, I don't do that because it hurts.
Right. Well, there's a lot of times you'll hear, well, if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. That's the most incorrect statement you can make. Everybody's different. Everybody's completely different. And here's something else. I've had several surgeries, and that elbow only goes that far.
Yeah.
And this one is starting to get drawn up too. So when I'm benching, everybody, oh, that's a half rep. That didn't count. Well, I did 20 with 5 plates. It did count for something. and my chest is still intact. It looks pretty good in my opinion. So here's the thing. Use your fullest range of motion that is in your comfort zone. Okay. If you're doing this, you're not really doing it all. But I get that full range of motion here, and I still get the squeeze.
Yeah.
So the chest still works. I mean, I don't see anybody watching all these booty crack girls doing those, partial reps on the squats. Oh, that's not a full rep. That's not going to work. Bull crap. Look at those butts, dude. Those partial rep booty lunges work. I'm telling you.
It's building up something.
Why can't it work for the chest?
Hey, man, that's true.
It's the truth.
How do you feel about, and I want to know about this, because you see a lot of bodybuilders like rocking with the Smith machine for squats and some bench press for controlled range of motion.
Blasphemous.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, every exercise, there's so many out there, and you got to change it up a little bit. I feel like social media is such a tractor beam, if you would say, for all followers. Oh, I'm not going to say anybody's name, but I see so-and-so inclining 3 wheels. I'm going to do that. Well, of course you can incline 3 wheels on a Smith machine.
Yeah.
And it's good to do that every now and then. But I don't think you should put all your eggs in one basket either with the Smith machine. It's just, first off, when you squat, do you really go straight up and down? No. There's a big, giant fulcrum movement. When you bench, no, there's a fulcrum. There's always a fulcrum movement, meaning you have a swing or a sway. So getting set on a Smith machine, you're kind of taking out your range of motion to your body, and everybody has a certain motion. You put all 5 of us in here in the room together and get us to bench, I guarantee you each bar path will be different. Guarantee it.
Yeah.
And each chest is developed differently, I mean, and maybe if I tried his and he tried mine and you tried his, you would change a little bit. But I think the Smith machine really, it deters what your fullest potential is. I think it should be used on occasion, but I think I've used it like 20 times in my life.
Do you think 20 rep sets would be good for somebody younger to try that is trying to get big? To kind of focus, like, I think you're doing everything at like 20 reps, but you've landed on this after many years of training, and this is kind of a style that you evolved into. What about for like, someone that's listening to this and they're 20 years old and they're trying to gain some size?
I think just like we talked about before, you should try it, and you can't try it one time and say, I hated it and don't go back again. You need to try it more than once. And it will, if you, like we talked about, put enough weight on there to make you die before you get to 20, you're doing something. Right. That also puts so much more blood volume into the muscles. You're not just going for a pump. You're tearing stuff down with heavy weight, and you're getting pumped. That's what Michael Hearn capitalized, your best friend.
Yeah. Well, on the mental aspect of the whole thing too, right? I mean, doing 20 reps, that'll change your life.
Yeah. I mean, Stan everything too. I saw him doing the 20 and I messaged him, hey, we've been doing 20 since you were in high school, Bubba. Oh yeah. Okay. So what, whatever, how Stan is. But yeah, I mean, at the 20 reps, if you do the right amount of weight and use the best form you can for the first 70% of it, and then push it out the last few, you will grow. I tell you, the first story that I talked to you about with Ronnie, when we first met in 92, I was doing 6 wheels squatting, down to the ground. I was still in the Army, and I only weighed 190 to 200 pounds. And he walked over and made fun of me. He said, man, what the heck's wrong with your form? How come you squatting so much weight and got little bitty ass legs? I looked too much. I don't know, man. What do you want me to say? He said, you need to take half that weight off and do 20 reps. Because I was doing like 2 to 3 to 4. Powerlifting stuff, I was 190. I shouldn't have been doing powerlifting. I should be getting bigger as a bodybuilder. Right. And 1992 was when I started doing 20 reps on everything. Of course, I've worked out and done less reps on things, on video and everything. But the 20 reps volumized everything. I went from like 26-inch legs to 30-inch legs within 2 years, And that's a short amount of time to grow that much.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, supplements and food and, different styles of training. But I really think that everybody should try it if they're interested in changing up their program and seeing if it can help.
Squats, deadlifts, bench press, bent over rows.
All of it.
Overhead presses.
All of it.
We need kind of some of these big compound movements, right?
When you compound move, you're working your entire body. You know that. We all know that's common knowledge. When you volumize compound movements, you're going to shake some shit up. I'm telling you.
20 reps even on a deadlift?
Even on a deadlift. Yes, sir. 405.
I'm glad we didn't try that workout.
Yeah. You don't do sumo, do you?
I don't even know how to spell sumo. You know what? Here's my thing.
CHEAT.
There you go.
There you go.
So no, not really. I mean, there's a lot of people that are very successful and the strongest guys in the world use it. But I could never master that range of motion and mobility for my hips.
Yeah.
You really have to open up. And I don't think I try hard enough, or I wasn't interested, because I don't know if you know who, what is his name? I can't remember his name. Won the worlds about 10, 12 years ago. Damon Myers. He does the sumo style. And I did a video with him when I was in Georgia 7 or 8 years ago. And he was like, we're going to get you to lift some heavier weight with a sumo. I said, okay, let's try it. I couldn't pick up 135 off the ground. I couldn't.
Because your hips couldn't open up?
I guess. It hurt. My butt, my hamstrings, my knees, my hips. Damn. I was almost crying, man. I don't see how those guys do that. But they move some numbers. And it's just like spreading your arms as far as you can, arching your back and poking your gut out and touching, with a 3-inch lift. I mean, that's the name of the game, right? Shorter distance traveled.
Yeah. It
still gets a white light. But I could never master that.
So when you're doing these like sets of 20 and stuff, like how many different exercises do you think you normally do? Like 3, 4? Does it...
So on back day, usually 4 to 6.
Yeah.
Chest day, 4 to 6 on everything, pretty much. And we did back and
That's
biceps.
a good workout right there.
Yeah, it's a lot of volume. It's a full, solid 50 minutes to hour and 10 minutes with 2 people training and not bullshitting, just getting to it.
You also did mention you're going to be doing a powerlifting meet. So I'm curious, since you were wanting to get stronger, and you mentioned powerlifting meet, right?
Yeah.
Okay, since you're going to be wanting to get stronger, are you going to continue doing these 20 rep sets into it?
No.
Okay.
So obviously I'll pick up, a 5-5, I'll do what I used to do when I was powerlifting. And that was, of course, less reps, more weight, getting to my bigger numbers, because there's no way you're going to be able to find out what your potential is if you're squatting 5 wheels for 20 reps. I mean, that should equate to a pretty much higher squat, maybe in the 600s, hopefully, maybe. I don't know. Some people are really good at high reps and some people are good at, low reps. I've found that my body reacts better physically and visually to higher reps. And it's been a long, long time since I pulled big numbers like that. I'm kind of scared of it.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm going to do it after my bodybuilding show instead of before, because I don't want to hurt myself.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people, honestly, would react well to very, very high reps. The only thing is that the initial few weeks or months of doing high reps is a very painful, sore experience.
Yeah,
it
my heart
sucks.
But it's healthy, though. Think about it.
It is.
It's a cardio workout. I mean, after every set, were we out of breath? The whole workout, we were out of breath.
Yeah.
Instead of doing 5 reps, sitting down for 2 minutes and resting, going back and putting more weight on, wrapping our knees, chalking up, telling 3 or 4 war stories, squatting 3 more reps, and being able to talk during the set, it's a different story.
Yeah.
Big
The
time.
war stories are important.
The war stories are very important.
Where do we tell? We could just tell war stories here, I guess.
We have been.
We've been working towards that, huh? this entire time. You've had a lot of different experiences in your life, and you and I talked on the phone not too long ago. I don't know if you want to open up and talk about that at all, but something I wanted to mention is that, and I'd like to know. I'd like to know kind of how this came to be. You're one of the most kind people that is in our circle, and I'd like to figure out, how that came to be. Have you made mistakes in your life where you maybe mistreated people? Have you been mistreated yourself? Like, kind of what led you? Because and it sounds like a lot of the people you work out with sound like they have a kind heart as well. Like Ronnie Coleman, we're aware of the intensity in the gym, but he seems like he's very kind.
Nicest guy I've ever met in my life.
Meeting Branch Warren, he was the same way, and sounds like it's kind of like a culture thing that you guys have going.
Might be a Texan thing.
Yeah.
Huh?
What do
Although
you think,
I'm not from Texas.
what do you think has led to that? Did you have a dad or a mentor or somebody in your life that?
My grandpa.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, my grandpa. So not to get too deep into this tough topic, but everybody has a hard childhood. I was raised poor. I didn't have any food, or I grew up in the streets.
Stepdad beat me up.
Yeah,
threw me down the stairs.
Yeah, so it was mentally challenging. But back in the '60s, you didn't know what a mental challenge was. That was Vietnam, Korea was just ending. Vietnam was getting rolling, and the parents were up in arms, and we thought World War III was happening. It just it was a crazy time. So there's a lot of different stuff going on with the adults that are not old enough to be parents, and then the kids that shouldn't even be left alone for more than 5 seconds with a toaster. It's just those things teach you how to be more self-sufficient and not to be worried about what's going on, but to take care of business. Well, I grew up a little bit in the mountains, so we were splitting wood and hunting for our food and didn't have any money, and that brings you to a realization of thankfulness. And so when my parents split and I moved to Texas, it was a whole nother world. There was people with TVs. We didn't have TV. People with indoor plumbing. I'm telling you, man, I grew up on a little house on the prairie. We didn't have indoor plumbing. We had a pump for the water. I got a video
Must
on
have
YouTube.
blew your mind, right?
Oh, big time. I'm like, what is that? What's that dude doing inside that box behind that screen? I'm serious. I didn't know what any of that was. And so getting to see some of the other things that were happening, and then, of course, long story short, a lot of loss in my family, lost relatives, very close, really, really, really torn. And you can relate to this, how you feel today, whether it's been 20 years, 2 months, whatever. And so it teaches me several things. Humility, number one. Don't take anything for advantage, number two. I'm about to cry. And how you spell love. I taught you that last time.
Yeah, you shared that with me, and I share it frequently. I probably share it a couple times a year on my Instagram. And you said that the way that you spell love is Time.
Absolutely.
And I share that with my children. You'll love this. I'll take a picture of it today. I'll send it to you.
The rock, your daughter.
Yeah,
did for
my
you.
daughter made a rock, and on one side it says time, on the other side it says love.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she made that for me when she was like 5 or something like that.
So I guess the biggest thing, and not to change the subject, and that's a heart story, but when I was in the military, there's always a thought of, okay, am I going to make it back? Are we going to go to war again? What are we going to do? So drinking, partying, chasing things that you're not supposed to chase, and you get into the mindset of, okay, I'm invincible, I'm going to die. You finally have kids, it changes your life. You have a family, it changes your life. You got a wife and kids and people that love you, and if you don't love them back and punch the clock of time, you lose it. And then when you start losing people for real, sisters, brothers, mothers, uncles, you're just like, holy shit, this is real. It gets real, real fast. And I've had so many in the last 2 years. I don't want to get into it because I'll start crying. But I don't think that unless you, just like we talked about, experience it, you really don't know what it's like. Hey, I just saw a really kick-ass movie. There's a lot of shooting, a lot of fighting. Oh, yeah, I've seen kick-ass movies too. He doesn't realize how good of a movie that was until you see it. You don't know the loss until you lose it. You don't know the pressure and the gains until you put pressure on yourself. So being able to be working out with some of the greatest bodybuilders in the world. And I'm telling you, man, live through it, what you're talking about. It's really helped me take care of some of these, not necessarily insecurities, because I'm not very insecure about anything, but I do have this side of me that wants everybody to not necessarily like me, because when people say, oh, I don't give a F, they do. They really do, because they get butthurt when somebody doesn't like them. I want them to know that I'm here for them. And I love, as hard as I can, every single person in my life. And you know this. We text messages back and forth, and I appreciate your correspondence. Anybody that gets my number has free access anytime, and I'll do the best I can to respond with love and kindness and consideration, because that's been given to me through certain people that I don't feel like I deserved, but I got it anyway.
I think it's really important for people that are listening that are going through a tough time. When something crappy happens, it's really important that you stay attached to the good people that are in your life, and you'll know who they are. And then also stay attached to the things that you really enjoy, the things that you really love that are not reckless. You know, if you like beer, it's not great to, somebody dies, it's not great to go out and drink and do drugs and stuff like that. It's pretty obvious. But, you know, when you and I talked a few months back, you were going through a family situation, and I just said, you know, I wanted to make sure that you were healthy and making sure that you were sounding okay, which you were. And I was just like, we got to get you back in the gym, you know, to make sure that the gym is there. And you're like,
that was the first thing you said.
Yeah. Like, and I said, even come up here to Sacramento and, you know, kick it with me and Smokey and Nsima and Andrew, and we'll get some training in, we'll get some lifting in.
Then you ghosted me.
Yeah. And then I said, I'll never see
that
you.
That was a year ago. Thanks for finally having me out.
I don't know. Did you, I thought you disappeared. I don't know.
It goes along the same story with this was the turning event of my life. When I was in the military, I got run over by a Humvee, broke over 20 bones, was paralyzed for a few days. Doctor said I'd never walk again. And I was like, oh, bullshit, man. I'm doing something again. And I was dark, depressed, down, you know, drugs, everything. I lost everything. I felt like I lost everything, but the people that loved me were still there. You cloak that, you know, and you start pushing out. And it's so stupid of a reaction that we have.
Right.
I don't need anybody. And then you're crying, why does anybody love me? So after that event, literally, I was doing little dumbbell curls with the arm that wasn't in the cast. I had a body cast, you know, legs and ribs and all that. I was doing little 3-pound and 5-pound curls, you know, just a week later. And then a month later, I was depressed again, of course, hooked on painkillers and whatnot. And finally, after about the second or third month, I had a chaplain. He was an old Vietnam veteran, came in. God, I can't even think of his name. He's probably dead now, but he came up and told me, look, son, you look like you got some muscle. Look like you work out. And you're depressed and you're pissing me off. You better get your ass up. Go to the gym and start working out again, because that's what makes you happy. I can tell that. I know that. Sure as shit, less than a year later, I was doing a strongman competition. Walking, running, pulling, pushing, and it helped me get back into it. Yes, the family was there. You know, your maker that you pray to is there for you. And you got to reach out to those inner sources. But the external stuff, fishing, hunting, drag racing, anything that's safe, that's not going to hurt anybody, and bodybuilding, you know, working on in the gym, you release pressure. There's different things that get released in your body that make you feel better when you do something that you're proud of. Because if you feel better, you are better. That's all there is to it.
You go on some of those hog hunts with Branch Warren?
I've never been hunting with Branch. We always talk about it, but we never go. He is one hardcore dude, man. I'm telling you,
You go out there with like a
around.
knife or something and jumps on their back or something?
No, that's Brian. Brian will hunt with a pocket knife. Yeah, we'll sit back up in the brush and, you know, with our weapons. Brian's still one hardcore dude.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be good to have on the show.
Wait, go out with a pocket knife and kill what?
Like a wild boar?
Yeah, whatever.
You know, yeah, okay.
No, he hunts with a bow and he hunts with a spear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. How long you been hunting?
Man, you know, I'm not an avid hunter anymore. I
Yeah.
used to hunt a lot when I was a kid with my family and then joined the military and really didn't have that much time to hunt. When I moved to Colorado, Fort Carson, we did a lot of fishing and some hunting up in the mountains, up in the Gunnison area there. But, you know, since I've been back, I've just done a lot of fishing. I've got lots of fishing videos on my channel. Got a good friend that I go fishing with. Ronnie and I go fishing too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like outside of, I guess you mentioned fishing, but outside of just having the gym as a physical outlet, is there anything else that you turn to other than the gym and like family, et cetera, that allows you to, I guess, get the same type of happiness?
Sure, shooting.
Okay.
Yeah, I love to go shoot. So there's a range, you know, real close to the gym there that I'll go, a good outdoor range. I shoot here in Nsima Valley at Terran Tacticals with those guys. You know, I've got a farm, lots of acreage, so I'll shoot out there, and it's, you know, it's relieving. I want to interject this real fast. And we as bodybuilders and powerlifters and avid workout personalities, we're dedicated. I mean, we don't miss. If we miss, it's like, oh my God, beat yourself up. Here's the thing. we should not beat up people that fall off the bandwagon that are not as dedicated as us, because that deters them more so. I just came to a realization of that less than a month ago when I was talking to Taryn Butler, which owns Taryn Tactical, trains Keanu Reeves and all those movie stars. He asked me when the last time I shot was. And, I'm not going to shoot every day. That's a lot of money. I'm not going to take the time to go to the range. It's a lot of time. Then I have to clean my weapon. That's a lot of time too. I said, well, I haven't shot in a couple months. A couple months? What's wrong with you? You're never going to get better. Oh, I'm fine. And then I started thinking, how many times have I told people that stopped working out just because they were having a hard time, really going through they didn't have enough money to put gas in their car. And I'm like, oh, you're just a failure. Yeah, nobody will remember your name. I mean, seriously, not to that extent, but it just finally put into perspective, 50 something years later, that you have to be not necessarily soft to people, but be what is that word? Empathetic. Like,
Yeah.
okay, when's the last time you worked out? Oh, I spent a couple weeks. Instead of loser, well, why? What's going on? You want to come work out with me? Or, should we just go fishing instead or something? So I really think that we as leaders in the industry or in our fields should be more productive in promoting them to get back into it instead of deterring them by looking down on them. I've been guilty of that so many times. And I post that on my page. I'd never fall off. You guys are losers, Not really, but again, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I think everybody though, not just if you guys are, you two specifically, but like if you're a figure in the fitness world, it's not just you guys. Like,
I'm not a figure competitor.
my bad. But what I mean is like, there are a lot of people that just joined the gym recently, right? Because the new year, all that stuff. And what's like the most nicest thing you can tell somebody that kind of falls off is, oh, I haven't seen you in a while. Like, no, don't be a dick. Like, do exactly what Jay just said. Like, be like, hey, dude, everything all
good to see you again. Yeah, good to see you again.
Happy
what are you
you're
training
back.
today?
Exactly.
Looking better.
So I just want to, it just goes across the board. Everybody should be following that.
Absolutely. And we don't. I mean, I fall off all the time because I'm only human. But I think if we're more, again, empathetic towards, when you fall off, because we all do. I mean, I've fallen off several times.
Yeah.
A couple of days, maybe a week at the most. But when you come back, it's good for people to say to you, hey, good to see you. Good to be back. Welcome back. What's up, man? How's it been going? Instead of being that guy that says, oh, you lost your gains, dude. You look like you lost 20 pounds.
Yeah.
You pull out your weapon, start shooting everybody in the gym.
I do think it would be great if everyone had some type of physical outlet, though, because what you were saying with the gun range guy, like that's his field, that's his expertise. But not everyone that picks up a gun is going to want to do it every single day to get better.
Exactly. And the same with weights, too.
Same with weights. Not everyone's going to want to train in the gym as much of us. Some people, like when they get depressed or sad, they read a lot. Or they read a lot of books. Not everyone's going to turn to reading every single day for multiple hours a day to cure their happiness. So, I mean, everybody has that thing that they turn to, whether it's unhealthy or not, that allows them to feel better. And I guess that does make a lot of sense.
You have to. You have to have something.
Yeah.
You have to have an outlet. You do. Because, 24/7, the same exact thing, there's a lot of people that do it. There's a lot of people that did it in the 40s and 50s and 60s that had the same job for 50 years and died in it. But, now it's a different world. There's so many more avenues of things that we have at our fingertips. Hey, let's go to the gun range. Hey, let's go to that lake and go fishing. Hey, let's go, hunting. Let's go drink a cold beer real quick. Just one. 2 or 3 or 4. Hey, let's go to the gym. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
You mentioned you were on the set of John Wick. What were you doing on there? Just stalking Keanu Reeves or what?
No, I train with their trainers and kind of hang out with all the stunt doubles and stuff. It's a cool thing. I've done a couple of movies and acted, on TV shows and done some stunt work, and it's,
You're the Jax guy that gets killed first, probably.
Always.
Yeah. Like you got the flashlight and you're startled by some weird noise and you go, what the? And you get up and then, you
Somebody
go to walk
kills
around the
me.
corner and you get clotheslined or something.
At
right?
least one that I was successful in. I got to hold the guy up to kill me up in the air with my hand for a while.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it was good. Then he, killed me. So
Actually, you know what? That brings up something, because a lot of really fit people, I've seen quite a bit get into stunt work. So how would one, I guess, if they wanted to get into that type of field or get into that, how would they do it?
So nowadays, of course, the internet makes it easier to do anything. They have these all calls.
Okay.
So if you get on, I don't even know what it's called anymore. I just get phone calls, but there's an all call or a set casting call for a movie that's going on, that's filming close to you, all you gotta do is apply, and they'll accept you. You can go in there and try out for, if you have skills as a stunt person, or you can be an extra, just wear the same uniform that guy's wearing and hold the door open when this guy's going out and smoking cigarettes or whatever. I mean, it's fun. I was in Prison Break, Walker, Texas Ranger,
I love that show as a
Project
kid.
866, Trigger.
Doing extra work and stunt work.
Yes.
Kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, because if you're not really an actor, which I'm not, they'll throw you in wherever they want you. If your size meets the size of the guy or girl, that you're, doubling for, and if you look just like that person, well, you might be actually physically seen in the movie. You can see me a couple times in Prison Break.
Cool. You like doing that? You still do that now?
I'm kind of trying to, but I can't get beat up as much as I used to, because I've worked with Jackie Chan and all of his stunt doubles several times, and those guys are, less than half my age and 10 billion times more agile than I am. I'm just the big guy that gets killed at the first part of the movie.
Let me ask you this. Yesterday, you were mentioning something that kind of surprised me, because everyone knows me here for not knowing anything about football. I don't play football at all. I don't even know the rules. But I played soccer my whole life. And then you mentioned that you also played soccer for how long? And you played professionally too? Or
I played on a semi-pro league in Germany.
League.
Yeah, the
That's
Ramblers.
crazy.
And it was when I was thin. I always stayed trim in high school football, and I guess soccer was the best outlet for people in the 60s and 70s to get rid of their kids for a while.
Yeah.
And so, played a lot, and I loved it. Both my kids grew up playing soccer. Both of them had scholarships through college, paid for their college with it. And my youngest one actually played on a pro team as well.
That's crazy.
And I love soccer, by the way. I mean, it's one of the most, I don't know, there's so much cardio endurance. These guys have got, 110 yards wide. Is the field 60 or 70 yards wide, or it's 110 long, and like
It's a lot of running.
It's a lot of running, and that's all they do.
They don't stop.
They don't stop. I mean, football is a tough game too, believe me. But you're really only playing 3 minutes of the 15. Because you're getting up off the ground, you're walking to the huddle, you're walking to the line of scrimmage, you sit there and wait, you look for the calls, you sit. If you're not on offense, you're sitting down during half of the game, and not taking anything away from those guys. They're amazing athletes. They are. That's why they're professionals. But you get a professional soccer player to come in here and do a workout with you, you will be left in the dust.
Yeah.
I'm telling
makes
you.
a lot of sense.
Yeah, lots of cardio. And I did that when I was younger. Of course, I never want to play again. I'll play goalie, the one that just sits there and lets you kick the ball at him.
Yeah.
Your daughters lift too.
Yes, they do. Yeah,
Did
Carly.
you
Carly's
kind
done
of
good.
get them into lifting when they were young, kind of for soccer, or did they kind of like come to you and they wanted to pursue some lifting just because they wanted to be better? How did that work out?
So I'm not that dad. I started trying to coach my oldest one when she played, and I kind of ruined her for a while. And finally, my youngest one came up, was like, "I don't want you to coach me." I was like, "Hey, fine, whatever." And so they both had professional coaches. They did all the select league. They, did the ODP, Olympic Development Program, and I think got a lot better with true coaching.
It's hard not to like over intervene, right? Like it's
Sure.
tough because
Your dad.
it's
You
your
know it all.
kid, and you really want to show him. And my son was like playing baseball and stuff, and my daughter plays like volleyball. Like just because you've been around, you just think that you know stuff, but like I don't know shit about baseball or volleyball.
Same.
Certainly volleyball. I don't know zero
Right.
about it.
Yeah. What color ball is that?
And
anyway?
so you want to like try to. I guess you're trying to encourage them, but you can be discouraging them
Oh, you can.
if
Big
you come
time.
at it from the wrong
Because at
angle.
a certain age, they get to where they don't like you. I'm not sure where yours are now, but mine hated me for a while. But then, we're best friends now. And to go back to your question, I never coached them to go to the gym. I never asked them to go to the gym. I had my gym right after the oldest one was born, and she's almost 30 now. And so it was always something that they would come by, bring me food, stop, by with a soda, whatever, and sit at the desk, but would never touch the weights just because they weren't interested. And I didn't want to force that on them. Their goal was to, and their job was to play soccer and be as good as they could, because I was told them, this can pay for your college. It will.
Yeah.
And it did. So finally, when they got into college, the college coaches were getting them to lift, because my youngest one went to Mississippi State, one of the best schools out there as far as athletics are concerned and supporting the teams. My youngest one went to Northwood University in Hill, and the coaches were urging them to lift.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, hey, my dad owns a gym, and he's, he lifts some weights too. Should we go work out with him?" And of course, they were, we all kind of knew each other,
Right.
so it worked out really good. Well, you've seen my youngest one.
Yeah, you sent videos and stuff.
Yeah, she's pulling 3 wheels off the ground now,
Yeah.
and she's never powerlifted a day in her life.
That's great.
Yeah, and her boyfriend lifts too. I'm like, yeah, right on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my oldest one, she
That's
she
great.
played a lot of soccer, but she's now into a different dieting program. She's more into less meat, and I'm not sure what all she's doing, but
Yeah.
she's lost a lot of weight, and she still works out avidly. Not real intense, but the the other stuff, the yoga and the kettlebells and the higher reps, not much weight.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, yeah, it runs in the family.
Where'd you get your start with lifting? Where did all this
Junior high.
when did it all happen?
Obviously, I say junior high, high school. Obviously, the Arnold books.
Mhm.
I saw Chris Dickerson win the Olympia, 1982, and I thought, man, that's something pretty cool. I'd like to. How do we do that? Those
Yeah.
veins and those muscles. It's appealing to most guys, to have that kind of muscle. So, in high school, we had a weight room, and it wasn't mandatory. It's just like, all right, let's run sprints and put on the pads and beat the hell out of each other, and then there's a weight room. Do what you can do. Right there at the end, I had a coach, Coach Orr. I can't believe I hadn't said his name in 30 years. He was a powerlifter, and he was pulling I think it was just 3 wheels deadlifting, and this is like 83 or 84.
Was he wearing those old school short shorts that the coaches always had?
Yeah, on top of the sweats.
Yeah. Amazing look.
If only we could go back.
They
to
should
that
bring
time.
that back. We should be wearing that right
Yeah,
now.
the shorts over top of the
Over
sweatpants.
top of the sweatpants.
That's an odd
Yeah.
odd look.
It's just a very odd look, and it was just the look that the coaches had in the 70s and 80s, with the socks pulled all the way up to their kneecaps.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he was deadlifting 3 wheels, and back then that was a lot of weight. I'm thinking, man, how in the world are you moving that weight, dude? That's a lot of weight. There's
Yeah.
a transmission and an engine put together. And so I walked in there and talked to him, and he said, yeah, you can lift with me. So I lifted with the coach, and man, I was bit by the bug after that. I just wanted to keep on keeping on. But yeah, sort of high school, junior high.
Doing
time.
it ever since.
Doing it ever since. It's a dedication. It's not. I want to talk about motivation and dedication. I hate the word motivation because it's actually, it's like caffeine. It's a stimulant, right? It wears off really fast. Hydration is forever, right? You put the water in the body, your body sustains it, you use it, whatever. It takes more of a dedication to get up and go to the gym every day for 38 years straight than it does motivation. Motivation falls by the wayside. You get these guys, you gotta wake up, and they're just screaming in the camera. It's not even a video of them. It's somebody else talking about Ronnie or Dorian or somebody. Gotta eat your effing egg whites. You gotta effing want it. You gotta effing love it. You don't gotta get so upset about it. Just get up and do it. Be dedicated. I get up and spend 5 to 10 minutes of personal time. No phone, no calculator, or no computer, no nothing. Nobody. 5 to 10 minutes. Be thankful for what I've got instead of looking for what's wrong. Yeah, it's my thing now. Thankful for what I've got instead of looking for what's wrong. And then I get on my phone and I start doing my emails because I have a couple businesses that I got to take care of. And after that, start the coffee, start your day. And if you do not, it's not that you have to have a regimen, but it does help to have your regimen. But if you do not make up your mind that your list of things that you have to do for the day is mandatory, then you're not dedicated. I'll get to it tomorrow. It's easy to say that when you're retired because that list just keeps getting longer and longer. You got to cross off something, at least 1 or 2 things a day. But getting to the gym is what I do every single day, 6 days a week.
You're not going to feel good about yourself if you're not crossing
No.
things off the list.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that list is about from here to Smoky now.
Was there a
Follow
time that you I guess that it's switched from being pure motivation to dedication, that you just realize this is something that I need to do no matter what else happens?
I think it's on and off.
Yeah.
Sometimes I know it's easy to do and it doesn't bother me. And I get up and I want to go to the gym. I can't wait to get to the gym. 90% of the time, that's me. But there is a time that I realize that, oh man, my back, oh my shoulder, oh my knees, oh this weather. I got to go feed the horses. I got to go tend to the farm. I got to go help so-and-so. I don't want to go to the gym. It's where the dedication comes in.
Mm-hmm.
You get that stuff done. You get your honey-do list and your chores taken care of. And then you go back to the dedication part of it and you realize, doggone it, I am dedicated. And you got to feel good about that. You've accomplished that. Daily accomplishments. There's a general that gave a speech at one of these graduations. And he said, look, make your bed every day. I don't know the full thing, but I just remember him saying those simple things will make you an accomplished person. Because if you don't make your bed, what in the world are you going to do with your job?
Yeah, there's a whole book on it.
Yeah.
How'd you get into social media? Because I think that ends up being really important too, because you have so many people that are relating to the information that you're sharing now. But you're one of the OGs. You were on social media early on.
So I guess let me go way back to the first YouTube video 11 years ago. There was a guy that came to my gym. Strongman Seth, if you're watching, thank you so much. I owe it all to you, brother. He came and he had said, "Hey, did you see Stan Everting's single arm deadlift 315 or something like that?" And I said, "No, where'd you see him do that?" "Oh, on YouTube." I said, "On what tube?" He said, "YouTube." I said, "Where is that at?" He said, "Oh, watch him pull out his phone." And at that time, I had a brick phone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the little star that went across it when it rang. And he opened up and there's a video, and I jumped back. I said, "Man, what the hell is
Sorcery.
that?" "Yeah, this is the devil." And he said, "No, this is are you pulling up Strongman Seth now? That looks like a weird, what is that? Oh, it's a dumbbell." Yeah, that's some of my first videos. He is the one that videoed me because he showed me that Stan was doing this, and he said, "Let me record you, and then we'll put you on YouTube." I was like, "Yeah, I guess that's cool." And so, yeah, that's Dan there, or Troy, but Seth is recording me. And so he posted it up on YouTube, and there was like 10 followers, and there was like 4 comments. I was like, "Hey, man, thanks a lot for watching. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Where are you from?" And they're like, "From Australia or Norway or
Yeah.
Canada."
You're like, huh?
Well, this is crazy. How in the world is this going on? So I enjoyed that. And there was a lot of people that were, saying, "Hey, good job, buddy. Way to go." I like that.
That's
So
cool.
made me feel good. So I took over the channel and then became a partner. And of course, you have monetization and whatnot, which makes it nice to be able to help people to get paid for. And yeah, so I've been doing the YouTube videos for 11 years. About 4 years later, I got hired by a supplement line, Fusion Bodybuilding, great company in Canada. And they said, "Hey, why don't you get on Instagram?" And I was like, "Insta what?" And they said, "Instagram, that's the big thing." And I'm thinking, yeah, no, I don't even like this YouTube thing. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But it turned into be a pretty good thing, obviously, because the networking is so amazing. You could make a post and everybody in the entire world can see that post, depending on your followership. And it's helping. Yeah, there's people on those videos that I kind of forgot who they were. But it's just, yeah, that's my old gym there, Big J's Extreme Fitness.
And how do you sometimes deal with like negativity through social media? Because there's a lot of great positives to it. I think the positives way far outweigh the negatives, but there are some negative comments here and there and stuff. How do you tend to handle that stuff?
First off, you got to have tough skin. You can't be hurt by every comment that's negative, and there's a lot. And I think you and I share the same feelings that, it doesn't necessarily hurt my feelings, but it takes me back for someone to just come in so negatively about something that you're working so passionately about to help, and that you're doing a good job at it too. And so it took me a while to get that thick skin social media wise, because, some of my family reads those comments like, "How in the world do you put up with that?" Well, am I really a fat old gray-haired guy? Yeah, maybe, but it doesn't offend me for someone to say that, because I probably would have said it 30 years ago too. And so as long as you don't take these comments personally, you don't invest a lot of time, and you don't go back and forth, don't feed the fire, don't pour fuel on the fire, just put it out. Just say, "Hey man, here's your glass of water, have a nice day." And a lot of times I say, "Thank you, I was thirsty." You're gonna get some good stuff back, and sometimes they're just there to hate on you, and that's fine too. I don't block those people. I just don't respond to them.
Yeah.
You just they burn out pretty quickly because they're there to hate you.
Now that echoes. Jordan Sayat said something very similar. Like, a lot of those people, you just gotta feel sorry for them at the end of the day, because it takes a lot of energy and just a lot of sadness to sit at your phone or at your keyboard and just say some shit to somebody that you don't know.
Yeah.
You gotta be just a pretty sad person.
What's funny is you'll get a comment, and like, here's my scenario, and people that are listening, this is what I do every time. I'll post a picture or video, and I'll walk away, and I do not go back to that video until I'm going to post another one. When I post another one, then I'll go back and answer everybody's comments and questions and remarks, and I answer everybody. Anybody that follows me knows that, but I wait 24 hours, so I'm not going back and forth for 5 minutes with one guy or girl. But if it's a hating comment, I mean, it's been up for 24 hours, and you respond with something, and they come right back. Whoa, were you waiting for me? What happened, dude?
They were waiting around.
Yeah.
Huh?
But again, if you don't feed the fire and you answer them professionally and with as much kindness as you can, a lot of times you can put that fire out and then you move on. Don't take it personally, because they don't really know you. They know nothing about you. They see 30 seconds of your day, of your 24-hour day. They can't make a judgment on you.
Mm.
Don't allow them to, because you're going to be in charge of how you feel. If you let it affect you, it will affect you.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, especially with how many people have businesses that are fueled or they market through social media and they're on that a lot of people need to take that to heart, because this is a very different type of beast. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's just comments, but a lot of people put a lot of weight into what all those negative people think, and then they put that on themselves.
Yeah.
It's not, we didn't have to deal with this 12 or 13 years ago.
Not at all.
You know, and kids are having to deal with this too. So it's just,
it's
a
very
different animal.
dangerous. It's very toxic.
Mm-hmm.
Very toxic. And I think it's our job as parents or peers or leaders in the industry, especially as long as, you know, you and I have been in the industry, and you as well, to teach people not to let it affect them. It's strange and it's sad that we have to have those kind of talks with people. But if we're mature enough to handle it ourselves, then we need to hand that down, pass the torch. That's why I always like to try to be as friendly as possible, because I have been granted so many blessings with people that I've trained with that taught me to be humble. It taught me to be the best I can be. You know, be the person in the mirror, not the person beside you. You know, I'd be in competition with everybody else. Yeah, it's good to be great. I love being great. But I like being a better me than a better, you know, Joe Blow. You know, I'm not going to go out and buy a fancy car and post it all over the place. I'm not going to, you know, I like watches. I love watches. But, you know, I'm not going to post about it every other post. I'm going to post about the badass lift I just lifted, because that's what you want to see. I know it. And that's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I have other pages for cooking and other pages for cars and other pages for clothing. Yeah, so I keep it simple. Let's train hard. You know, you don't want to see me curling 5-pound dumbbells to warm up. You want to see me deadlifting 600 pounds. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
That's great. What you got over there, Andrew?
Just in regards to like the comments and stuff, it always just baffles me how almost like just the simplest thing that you can post on, whether it be social media, YouTube or whatever, like how just like, how is this the thing? Like, how is this the thing that gets you so triggered to start just pounding away on your keyboard? It's like, what, I mean, can't there be something else better in your life to be doing right now other than, you know, smashing away on the keyboard? And it's just always funny to me, because it's like when you do respond with kindness and you respond with like a good answer, they come back even more upset. You know,
So, some of them don't. Some of them come back with, thank you, I was having a bad day.
Yeah. Like I've responded to somebody who like, they was like, oh, that guy Andrew's boring. I was like, hey, dude, my bad. Like I'm working on it. You know, this is still new to me. I'm trying. And he's like, oh shit, dude, you're actually pretty cool. All right, never mind.
There you go.
So it was pretty, you know, it was just funny. But yeah, for the most part, it's just like, I don't know, man. Like it's just the internet. Like
It's a tractor beam.
Yeah, go
You
for
get sucked into it very quickly.
Yeah.
Because somebody flashes their butt or their boobs or their car or a palm tree. And it's like, oh, I want to have that life.
Mm-hmm.
So that guy drove 3 hours and hired $2,000 worth of camera work to film him getting out of his car slow motion, walking into the gym, clapping chalk powder and lifting, you know, 3 or 4 plates, and the video's over. It's like, how in the hell does that motivate you? That guy just spent his whole day doing 30 seconds of nothing.
Yeah, and then even like today's live streams and in the chat room, it happens almost every podcast. Somebody will come in and you can tell what they're getting at, because they'll come in and they'll send a bunch of comments right like back to back to back to back.
So you'll see them,
and it'll always come back to, well, these guys are just on all of the steroids, so no matter what they're talking about.
I love talking about steroids. What is he asking?
Just saying that basically you're big because you're on gear. And I mean,
this is my 38th year being big.
Yeah, and
I haven't been on gear for 38 years.
So my response to him was like, well, do you think that's cheating? Because I kind of like stirring the pot a little bit.
Oh boy, the truth comes out.
But he didn't say anything.
Well, so here's the thing. Let's talk about steroids, can we?
Yeah.
I love talking about steroids.
Hey.
So when people ask me if I'm on gear, I say no, I'm not. I'm on testosterone replacement therapy. I take 1 shot of testosterone every 7 to 10 days if I can remember. Okay. I was a farm boy. I grew up hauling hay, splitting wood, building fences, picking up tractor rear ends. You know, it's a lot of hard work. So I was already strong beforehand. When I was competing, of course I took a gear. I took a lot of gear. Some probably would have killed me if I wasn't in the shape that I was in. But then when I stopped competing in 2002, I stopped taking gear, period, altogether. I didn't take an aspirin after that because I knew that it was very toxic to my body if I wasn't going to use it. Well, when I started getting hired by these companies to represent supplement lines, all these pro bodybuilders were still huge, and I was, you know, drying up and getting skinny and weak. I was like, I'm gonna jump back on the gear. So I did. And then I figured out, okay, I'm not gonna take as much gear as I was taking when I was competing. But keep in mind, I was still just as strong and just as big. I was probably only supposed to be 190 pounds when I was a kid, but because and when I grow up, but because I took so much gear and I changed my set points and I changed my body through progressive overload for years, I just became a bigger person. And when I was off the gear, I never got below 260. That was gear free for like 6 years.
Damn.
And then when I got back on it, I bought a whole bunch of stuff. I'm thinking, why in the hell am I going to do this to my body? So I went to the doctor, almost 50 years old. He's like, hey, you don't need to take all that. Here, let's look at your blood work. Let's see where you're deficient. Let's see what's going on. And checked it out. He said, hey, you're kind of low, but you know, we can give you this and get you back on, you know, your wheels. So yes, I take steroids. I'll say yes every day. It's not a big deal. I've been prescribed it and it helps me. And yeah, I'm stronger because of it, because I recover quicker. And I do all the proper things that you're supposed to do while you're training: cryotherapy, foam rolling, you know, stretching, all that stuff, eating, nutrition, supplementation, sleeping, hydration. So yeah, thanks for the question, buddy.
It's kind of an interesting thing because, you know, what I usually, a lot of times I'll say to people is it's an option for everybody. I mean, so, and I'm not like, I don't feel that I'm using it because I'm not, even when you compete in powerlifting, I mean, there's drug tested federations and there's non-drug tested federations. I never took steroids and competed in a drug tested federation. I never tried to pass myself off as being natural. And then in addition to that, when I did bodybuilding, it was the same thing. You can choose natural bodybuilding where they run some tests. And that's where I think things get a little bit weird.
Yes.
But taking some anabolics it's an option for everybody. Like somebody who says, I really want to get bigger. Well, how much bigger do you want to get? Because maybe that's different for you and maybe that's different for me and maybe that's different for him. And then also, like, what are your genetics? You know, maybe you'll run into a wall and maybe you'll feel that you need to take something to give you a little extra boost. You know, and that's really all anyone's trying to do is just, you know, and when I always look at these comments and I think about how people are reacting to stuff, and I think about my reasons on why I've used anabolics for the last 20 years or whatever it's been. The main reason is I'm just trying to do the best I can, just like everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you're trying to do the best you can at your job. You're trying to do the best you can as a husband. You're trying to do the best you can as whatever the hell it is that you're doing. I'm just trying to do the best I can. And because of that, it's my belief that that helps me do the best I can.
Why not put a little high octane fuel in your car, buddy? Makes you run better. As long as you're not hurting yourself.
I'm not trying to compete in anything natural.
As long exactly. As long as you're not hurting yourself, and as long as you're not promoting it to hurt someone else, then why not? You know, hey, do what you're gonna do. Do what you got to do. You're in charge of your body. You know, you're not gonna make me feel bad about myself because I feel good about myself.
Yeah, and I'll also never lie about. I mean, they do make a difference.
Yeah, they do.
They make a huge,
phenomenal recovery period.
But the difference that they make doesn't stack on top of itself. So, you know, you've been using them for a long time. I've been using them for a long time. It might make you a little bit better, but it doesn't make you a little bit better all the time. I don't know if that's making sense. It doesn't accumulate.
Right.
So whatever this 5%, let's say it helps you. Let's say it helps increase body size. We'll just say by 20%. You get the 20% once, and that's it. You said you increased your set point, but you kind of did it once. You have a new set point, but you don't continuously. You're not 300 pounds and ripped. Right. You don't continuously have a new set point. So, and you can take a lot of stuff, and then you can start getting into like growth hormone and insulin, and you can maybe change the set points a few times. But the card that you play when you take anabolic steroids is it just levels you up just one time, and that's it.
Sure. It's like when people say I'm getting stronger by the day, or, you know, I'm increasing, et cetera, et cetera. If that were true, we'd all be bench pressing 3,000 pounds. You know, you just can't get that much better. You can get a little better, but not that much better. And when people say they're only there because of this and this, you got to think about everything that goes into it before this.
Right.
All the time that you've slept, all the time that you've ate, all the food that you've cut out, all the food that you've added, all the cardio, all the grueling hours at the gym. And there's some people that don't train that hard and just have great genetics, but there is a lot of other people that do put hours and hours and hours of their life into the gym. And that's what happens. You get results.
Right. And if you don't have the dedication, then I don't think you have any business taking steroids.
Exactly. No.
make sure that dedication is locked in first.
I agree. It's
Because
not a
the
quick
drug's
fix.
not going to do that for you. It's not going to
Yeah.
make you more dedicated towards
Yeah,
something.
it is a quick fix, but it can also be a long-term situation for healthy reasons as well.
For all my video game nerds, think about it like you have a level cap of 100, right? Steroids get you to a level cap of 120. But if you don't do the training, you'll never get to level 120.
Never. No, you got to put the training in. You can't just take them and not train.
Yeah.
Because you see those guys, they're all puffy for like 3 months. They look like they swallowed a balloon, in every
Start
part of their
rolling up
body.
their sleeves,
Yeah.
Yeah, I like,
tighter shirts.
yeah, I like Mark's explanation of the diminishing returns. That was the term that we were looking for. That you'll get that 20%, but then the next time you might get whatever,
Absolutely.
not even half, right?
Hey, change the question, change the topic altogether. What made you move here? Because I like the other place. What was wrong with it?
Oh, so yes, so when I had the other spot in West Sacramento, it's been a dream and a desire of mine to have everything under one roof, and so at that place,
Oh, you were separated. That's right.
yeah,
Warehouse was a different
yeah,
spot.
right.
Okay.
The warehouse is in a different spot, and now we have the ability to like print T-shirts here, and we have everything we need here. So
One-stop
that
shop.
was, that was
Yeah, great
a
idea.
big reason for the move,
Mm-hmm.
and then to
on.
have a bigger store. We sold stuff at the other place, but it was like out of a closet, pretty much.
Which one of these boxes you want me to look in for that again?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, and I want to go on record real quick. I know we're probably about to wrap up. I want to go on record, and I said this before, and I'll say it again, and I posted all about it. But Slingshot Gear by Mark Bell has not only prolonged my lifting career, but made me safer and made me stronger and made me healthier. And it has definitely extended my life in the gym as well as outside the gym. Because if I couldn't gym, I couldn't J. That's the bottom line. So Slingshot, you've saved my life. Thank you so much, brother.
Yeah, I remember you telling me like that. Felt like you were kind of done. You were too like beat up to do certain
Big
movements. So
time.
you're like, I didn't even think I could do those movements anymore.
No. As a matter of fact, my first video that you and I corresponded on was me borrowing a Slingshot that somebody brought in, and I had 315 like 35 times.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit. Sorry. Holy crap. Because I could usually only do it for like 12 or 15 reps, and it practically doubled it. Now I'm doing 5 plates for 10 to 15 reps
Yeah.
because it's not the steroids. Again, it's the training.
Right.
It's taken 10 years for me to get from the first Slingshot use with 315 to my, 100th Slingshot use with 405. I did 405 cold yesterday for 15 reps
Damn.
with the Slingshot.
Wow.
Again, using the proper time frame that your body needs to utilize to get to that size. It's not overnight. It takes time. It took me almost 10 years to get here, but I'm still growing in those the sleeves and the wraps and the Slingshot and the wrist wraps. I mean, I've worn that stuff for years, but nothing, and I know I sound like I'm kissing your butt. Thank you for everything you've done for me is all I'm trying to say.
I
It's
appreciate
an
it.
amazing product.
Thank you.
I want to actually ask you this because you mentioned that you've done some martial arts in your time, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did you do, and do you ever plan on doing any of that anymore, or do you still do any of that?
Strictly recreational, never
Mhm.
competitive. We all did the jiu-jitsu back in the 80s and 90s. Karate, some Tang Sodu is what I play with now.
Okay.
A lot of stick fighting, a lot of trick martial arts is what I do now.
Okay.
So if we started grappling, you'd pin me in like 3 seconds. You'd probably punch me out in 4 or 5 seconds.
What's trick? What's that?
Just where there's a lot of camera angles and
got
you slap somebody but you really don't. Well, sometimes you do get slapped. But the trick fighting is it's cooler to watch because all the sounds and you hear the and the punches and whatnot. So
Yeah.
that's what Jackie Chan and his guys do all the time. So when I work with those guys, they teach me more of how to fall, how to take a punch. They let me punch them, sling them in the air, throw them around because I'm the guy that picks them up and then dies.
Right.
Cool.
But yeah, just strictly recreational. I do a lot of forms still.
Mm-hmm.
I don't practice my chi like I should, but I do some meditation in the morning. I don't really get that deep.
Yeah.
But it's a calming sensation. A martial artist should be in charge of his life, not taking charge of someone else's life.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
That's cool. I like that.
We had a question on a previous podcast, and it just goes back to the motivation versus dedication. But I wanted to ask you and Mark this question because you're both parents. Basically, the question I'm trying to remember, but basically it was like, is like the only way you can really tap into like the biggest form of motivation is by becoming a parent. Because he was saying that, or maybe it was a she, I don't remember. you see a lot of successful people, and a majority of them have kids already. Do you think that the ultimate form of motivation can come from creating a family, or having a family, I should say?
I think it's a maturity level that you reach once you have a child. I mean, if you don't reach that maturity level, then your child's going to end up worse than you. I mean, I see Mark shaking his head. Being a parent is, you know, is a whole new job, a whole new line of responsibility.
When I think of sometimes when people are very successful, it's when they get distracted away from thinking about one thing too much. Although you do need a tremendous amount of focus too, but a lot of people I know that are trying to lose body fat, they go in the gym and they train for strength, and then their body ends up becoming better because they didn't think about it as much. Same thing with wealth. I see this happen often where people are so worried about that next payment, and they kind of stop. They let their defenses down there, and they're not so worried about their next payment, and they start being a little bit more giving, and then they start becoming more successful. And then the same thing happens, I think, with children. You know, you had to take care of yourself your whole life. You had to figure out ways for, you know, you to be fed, and you're thinking about yourself all the time. How do I make it to the next day? How do I improve? How do I get better? And now you got somebody else to totally worry about and focus on. And that just like inadvertently makes you a better person because you have your focus shifts. Like my cousin told me he had
less matters.
Yeah. He had kids before I did. And he was like, you basically don't matter anymore. He's like, this is all about, everything's about them. Birthdays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, every single holiday,
And
everything's
it
about
feels
them.
good.
It feels great.
It feels amazing.
It feels amazing, but it is a good thing to know. Like,
and it's 18 years of
we ain't
heartache,
talking about
too.
you no more.
Yeah, it's 18 years of heartache, but it's also 18 years of amazing accomplishments, teaching, loving. I mean, that love, you don't know love until you have a child, in my opinion, because I thought that I loved someone or something, and then you have a child, and it's just like, oh, man. Actually, being a grandpa now, 2 years and a few months, I really wasn't ready to be a grandparent. I really wasn't. And my daughter was mad. Hey, you guys need to be single for a while, or not single, but, you know, be married for a while and go party and do all whatever. No, we're just ready. We're ready. They weren't ready, believe me. But when that grandson popped out, man, I went into the waiting room and I was like, "Oh, you okay? Okay." I was talking to my daughter. I didn't want to see the baby yet, you know, because that was my first primary concern.
Right.
The doctor's over there by the baby, and she looked like she'd been run over by a truck. Sorry, Courtney, you were looking rough. and she was like, "No, go see Easton, go see Easton." I said, "No, I just want to make sure you're okay." And the nurse was tapping me on the shoulder, "Grandpa." And I said, "I'll hold it." And I looked. I said, "What is that?" "It's your grandson. You want to hold it?" I was like, "Yeah, okay." As soon as they put him in I started bawling, man. My throat got a big lump. Worse than when my kids were born. I was crow. "This is my grandson." And I started going out the hall. "Hey, everybody. Hey, bring the kid back in. You know, he's not ready yet." And so, since then, it's even more so. I know you've heard from your parents probably that being a grandpa or grandmother is just the next level. I told my kids if I knew being a grandpa was so much more fun, I'd skip being a dad. And they laugh. They go, "Oh, wait, no, that's not right." No, but it's amazing. To have a child, it just creates a whole different level of maturity. And again, petty stuff doesn't matter anymore. It just doesn't. Hey, I go outside in socks and flip-flops now because I'm a grandpa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I won't comb my hair. I won't even wear a hat today because I'm grandpa. That's funny. Is my grandson will grab my hat and throw it on his head and run around. I'm grandpa.
My grandfather wore 2 different colored socks. You know, he just
Big deal.
He didn't care.
Yeah.
He wore like one orange one and one red one. Like it looked like he was trying to match them, but it was like,
Well, there's a matching pair in his closet somewhere.
Somewhere.
That's for getting dressed up though
Yeah,
on those
exactly.
fancy nights.
Exactly.
Well, that's cool. I mean, yeah, I guess no F's to give at that point, right? Like,
Well, there's all to give. You know, when
Well, I
people
mean-
say I don't give an F, you actually give more of an F about everything.
oh, okay.
Because the things that don't matter, it's not that you don't care about them. It's just, it's not that important to you. Hey, you know, so-and-so's trash can blew over. Oh my God, did he lose his trash? So what? You know, we'll go pick it up. That's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll go help him. You know, well, what about your trash can? Mine's fine. I don't know where it is, but it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just start, less matters to you because you have a job. It's the greatest gift that you can ever be bestowed upon, to have a child and to be a parent.
Yeah, I know. I used to be one of those one of those persons that's like, oh, my dogs are everything. Like they're my kids. They mean so much to me. Like I wouldn't do anything, you know. And then I met my daughter, and then it was like,
You talk shit about your dogs now.
yeah, I kind of do. Unfortunately, don't get me wrong. I still love my dogs, but like once you have a kid, it's just like
It's different.
like,
Yeah.
fuck
And
that
I'm not
dog.
an animal lover. I'm not an animal lover at all. It's not, I don't not like animals. I love animals actually, but I don't have one at my house. My kids have dogs at their houses, but I like animals love me. They'll come up and they'll just sit in my lap and look at me. And there's attack dogs that are, you know, this dog's going to kill you. Be careful. And I walk up, hey, buddy. And he just sits down and smiles and starts petting. So I was a canine officer for a while, and I know how to handle and respect animals. And I guess that they sense that because
They do.
dogs and kids know. They know. If you get a little 2-year-old look up at you and start crying, there's something that kid sees in you that you might not see in yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? Well, not shaved, got a booger in my nose.
Right.
Or you got this bad omnipresence about you, you know,
Yeah.
because they can see. Dogs know and kids know.
Cool. And then if I can, really, really quick, thank you to Certified Piedmontese Beef for sponsoring this episode. If you guys are interested in the amazing beef that they have there, head over to Piedmontese.com. That's PIEDMONTESE.com. Enter promo code Power Project for 25% off your order. And if your order is $99 or more, you get free 2-day shipping. Back to you, Mark.
That was a pretty
Anybody
good
have anything
advertisement.
else?
I think
I think
that's
we
it.
went through the gamut of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Great workout. Thank you so much for working out.
What'd you
with
guys
me.
do? I saw some rows. What else did you do?
Pull downs, seated rows, back behind the neck pull downs, hammer rows, dumbbell pullovers, alternate dumbbell curls, hammer dumbbell curls, and machine curls.
Supplements. You, I know you you have some of your own supplements.
No, I'm done with that.
Oh, you don't do that anymore.
Yeah, no, I'm done with that, Phil.
How do you feel about supplementation? Like, are you big on? You're trying to get big? Are you doing like a post-workout shake, or you recommend protein shakes, or or just eat just a lot of food?
Just eat a lot of food, man. A shake or protein shake, it says on it supplement. It's exactly what it is. It's supplementing the food that you are either too lazy or don't want or can't afford.
Right.
You know, I'm not down in shakes. I'd rather have food. It's so much better for me. You know,
I agree.
In my opinion. Now I do take pre-workouts. I had some of the strongest pre-workouts on the market. You know, you've had it actually, and I will rely on that every now and then for a good leg day or back day. But back when Branch and I were workout partners, when Ron and I first started training, we drink a cup of coffee. 50 to 75 milligrams of caffeine is enough if you put your mind to it.
I'm so happy you said that because
Yes,
I
sir.
do the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Amino acids, you get them in your foods. You know,
Right.
there's so many branch chains and essential amino acids out there that are selling like wildfire. And I had my own until I finally realized that, it's not necessary.
Right.
Creatine, you get that in steak, get that in other foods.
Vitamins, minerals. You substitute anything?
I do take glucosamine because you can't get those kind of minerals in food. I do bump the vitamin C up in the cold seasons. I take a baby aspirin for heart health. Take a liver pill. I'm not sure what it's called. Milk thistle.
Right.
I take that because it doesn't matter what you're taking or eating. Your liver is working, so you need to have something in there. And then I take CoQ10 for heart and brain health, and that's it. That's all I take. Just
Rest is
those minerals. Rest is food. And I have my blood work done every 3 months, and I would urge each and every one of you: you're on gear, you're not on gear, whatever you're doing, donate blood because it saves lives and it also recirculates your blood system. It helps you.
Right. And then getting your blood work done is really important, but don't just get your cholesterol. Just don't only get your lipid profile done.
Do a full profile.
That's usually
Full
what
panel.
they'll do is they'll just do like a lipid profile, which is great. It can give you some information, but
Get a
you
full
want to
panel.
know your testosterone, your estrogen, your cortisol. You want to know all that different stuff. Which
I
is,
do
it
that
can be
once
expensive.
a year. Once a year, the full panel, but every 3 months after I go get blood to make sure that I gave enough blood or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, it's very important. It's just like changing oil in your car. I know I have a lot of car references, but it's easier to understand for some people.
Yeah. Where can people find you?
BigJ'sExtremeFitness.com or Big J's Extreme Fitness on YouTube, BIGJ_Extreme Fitness on Instagram, and I don't even remember my Twitter. But yeah, come see me.
It's something, right? There you go.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Or at Metroflex Gym in Arlington, training with Big Ron.
What about you, Andrew?
You guys can hit me up on Instagram at I am Andrew Z. Make sure you're following the podcast at Mark Bell's Power Project at Mark Bell's Power Project on Instagram, at MB Power Project on Twitter, Facebook.com/Mark Bell's Power Project, LinkedIn.com/IN/Power Project. Like I said before, we're all over the place. We're even on Alexa now, so you guys can turn on the Alexa skill, the Power Project skill, and you guys will hear a preview of that day's podcast.
Nice.
Yeah, we're literally. I'm trying to make this. Yeah, we're doing things over here. Yeah. And then of course, super duper important. If you guys appreciate today's episode, or if you guys got anything out of today's episode, if you want to give us the biggest thank you can do is rate and review on iTunes. Obviously subscribe, but if you can, leave a star rating, leave a review. It really does help out the show. Nsima, where you at?
At Nsima Inyang, at Nsima Inyang on Instagram and YouTube, and Nsima Yin Yang on Twitter and TikTok. Mark?
At Mark Smelly Bell everywhere. Congratulations for those of you that have been following along. You made it through 3 weeks of World Carnivore Month. Today is day number 21. Check out my YouTube channel. I'm uploading stuff every single day, which is a giant pain in the ass, but I'm uploading stuff every single day on what I'm eating, what I'm not eating, all that good stuff. All the carnivore-ness is going on over there. Strength is never a weakness. Weakness is never strength. Catch y'all later.